Okay, so let's start this morning. I have a joke. A joke, okay. This is for parents, but because it's Father's Day, we'll use father. So the son looks at the father and says to the father, you know, what does it feel like to be a dad? So the father takes the cell phone, carelessly breaks the screen, gives it to the son and says, here, pay for it. Okay. Right. Some of the parents don't look like they're smiling. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay. So it is Father's Day, and not to be exclusive, but we're going to understand how we can all be father-like. And that's really the issue, because there's physical fathers and there's spiritual fathers. Right? It's not just limited to our biology or our gender, but it actually goes back to consciousness. Like we've said, consciousness is everything. So I wanted to start with a simple thought, because we're so inundated with this Father's Day stuff. You know, that I want to help us understand or put in our mind, where did it begin? So if you ask most people today, they'll say, well, it started with the greeting cards company, right? You know, they created a Mother's Day, a Father's Day, now there's Secretary's Day and Best Friend's Day, you know, and everything possible in order to sell greetings cards. So that may be one explanation, but you and I have another explanation. Father's Day started with God. So it goes back billions of years, trillions of years, beyond counting, right? It all starts with the Creator. Now, traditionally, the Creator is called a father, and that's what we want to get into. Why? Why that particular aspect, especially for today? So, for those of you who may be fathers, it's kind of a very interesting experience, right? Because the Kabbalists teach that the father, between the father and the father gives the sperm, the mother brings the egg. So Kabbalistically, on a spiritual level, it's the sperm that carries the soul energy of the child, and the egg carries the physicality that will manifest, like the seed and the earth, right? The seed brings in the activation of the earth to bring the plant, right, the tree. So similarly, but if you think about it from a simple logical level, a mother, you can understand why they are so connected to the child, because they carry it in the womb. So for 9 months, the mother is carrying the child. They feel it kicking, growing, doing, etc., etc. What did the father do? Yeah. All the women saying, nothing, nothing. Right? I mean, think about it. So the father gives a microscopic sperm, 9 months later receiving this child. So when the father is at, and I didn't understand, I understood the concept, but until I experienced it myself, it didn't mean the same thing. So you go to the nursery and the father sees 12 babies in the nursery. They're all brand new. Why, on a simple physical level, should a father feel closer to their child, than all the other children? I mean, if I do like this to you, I've just given you the same, well, not quite the same thing, but I've given you similar energy to what I give my kids. Because every cell of my body has the same energy as my sperm gave to my children. So then why would I feel, or any father feel, more for one than the other? And that's what made me really grasp the concept of spiritual energy, that the father connects to the soul of the child. And that's why, even though we may care for and love and want to help all children, etc., and all people, but we feel a special connection to our child, to our child. So then similarly, if we think of God, the Creator, as a father, so it's the same thing. What do we as fathers want to do? We want to share, we want to protect, we want to give, we want to raise our children. So the same thing, the Creator. The Creator, metaphorically, wanted children in order to pass on all of its goodness, all of its wisdom, all of its power, all of its understanding. And so the Kabbalists teach us that the Creator created a vessel, it's called, an infinite vessel, a container that we would call our soul, and then filled it with its light, the light of the Creator, which is all the good, all the blessings, all the amazing good things we could ever imagine, our great talents, abilities, capacities, resources, etc. We've already been given it. And then the Creator, and this is always the thing that I think as human beings we kind of fight with, after giving us all of the good, filling us 100%, gave us free will. The free will to manifest our potential in our own way. Creator doesn't force us any one particular way. Similarly to a parent. A parent doesn't force a child to become a certain thing in a certain way, but ideally what does a parent want? The child to grow up and be its full potential. So then drawing that spiritual energy, because on a relative frame, male is the channeling of the energy, of the light force, and the female is the vessel manifesting it. And that's why we say we could all be father-like and mother-like, because we all have aspects of both. But relative to each other, the male is the channel, the female is the vessel. So then God the Father means that it's given us all this beneficence, but given us free will, how to manifest it, but at the same time doesn't just stand back and do nothing, but is there constantly, like the light force of the Creator shines 100%, 24/7, infinitely. So there is always a spiritual push to become our best, to move towards our greatest and our highest potential. Just like a good parent wants the children. So we'll nudge. Sometimes in a human level, we nudge a little too much or a little insensitive or whatever, a little aggressive. But if you think in that Kabbalistic perspective, the light force of the Creator is constantly shining on all of us. And that's why every human being on earth is looking for more, to become more, to have more, to do more, etc. Why? Because it's already there. And all the Creator wants from us is to express all of our 100%, all of our love, kindness, compassion, etc. Now, also, if you look at the frame from a parent, what does the father want from its children? Conflict, discord, or harmony and unity? Oneness. So then, in a similar way, the Creator, by sending that light 100%, and giving us our 100% potential, even though we have free will, there's still a push to be unified, a push to be unified. And unfortunately then, if we think of God as a father, then all the 7.3 billion people on the planet, we're all brothers and sisters. So then all the conflict that's going on simply goes back to sibling rivalry. They have this, I want that, how come they got? It seems like they're getting more than I'm getting. All those kinds of things. What's the piece that's missing? That each of us already have our 100%. It's already inside of us. The only thing that's really missing is the expression of it. And so just like a father or parents, we want our children to express compassion, kindness, care, and love for each other. Doesn't mean they're all the same. 3 billion people on the planet are the same. Not one of my children, and I'm sure your children, or you who are children, we're not the same as our siblings. We're not the same as each other. But that doesn't make one better or worse, and that doesn't mean that my mother or father love me more or less than anybody else. How much more so than the Creator? The Creator loves and sends this light of love, unconditional love, to every human being equally. So then what's going on when we hear people who say, well, I don't know, maybe God disappeared or this or this? So I want to get into that. And it's very interesting how the universe is synchronistic. If you have a true desire to bring enlightenment for yourself and for others, you'll always find the answer. So just yesterday, for the first time in 30 years, I saw a particular verse in the Bible. And of course it stuck, and I said, thank you, because I'm using it right now. It says very simply, Torah echad. There's one law for everybody. One law, one system for every human being. If we believe God as a creator created the soul of humanity and gave it light, then there is one system that will fit everybody. Again, it doesn't mean we can't have differences and differences of perspective, but there is one system. And from the Creator's point of view, what is that one system? It's something we hear over and over and over again. Our ultimate job is to live it, but some people may not even believe it. Unconditional love. It's hard to believe. I mean, we say unconditional, but I don't think any of us are yet living it to its fullest. I can love a lot of people, and maybe in the time that I've been growing spiritually, I'm loving more people than I did before. But can I tell you I love every human being on earth unconditionally? No. But the Creator does. So that one law that fits every human being, no matter our religion, background, or whatever, is the Creator loves us unconditionally and is constantly sending us unconditional love and that spiritual push of the light to achieve our potential. So then here's the glitch. Why does it look like it's not fair? Why does it look like some have advantages or not, or for some people they believe or not, or it looks good or not? It's the whole root and reason behind this wisdom being called Kabbalah, because Kabbalah means to receive. So there is one law of unconditional love, but depending on how or who the receiver is, will depend or will therefore determine, does it look temporarily good or bad? The sun shines, yes or yes? Yes. Who's not sure? Okay. The sun shines. Yes. Thank you. Now, is that good or bad? It depends. But it depends on what? Does it depend on the sun? No. The sun is shining equally, all of its light, all of the time. What it depends on is we, the receiver. If a person sits out in the sun too long unprotected, they tell us it's not very good, or it's not going to be good. They can get a sunburn and all the other things that go with it. But if a person is protected, or let's even go a little further, if a person has a solar cell and the sun is bright, then it's really good because they're getting all that energy and it's extremely beneficial. So is it about the light of the sun or is it about the receiver? It's about the receiver. So too, the light of the Creator. If a person is opening themselves more and more spiritually, then the light will appear to be more and more good for the person. When a person is closed off, the heart is closed, the mind is closed, there's a spiritual blockage, then the light that's shining on us will appear as challenges, chaos, difficulty in some negative way, which is why a lot of people will stop believing that the Creator is either out there or wants good for them. Because if God is so good and so wonderful, why are they having difficulty? Why is there tragedy in the world, etc.? It's not about the Creator. The Creator is shining its light all the time. It's about us. Because remember, free will is 100%. So there's no way to say, well, God, give me free will over here, but over here in my business, don't give me free will, just give me a check every week. Doesn't work that way. You have free will, you have free will. You want something, you have to create the vessel to receive it in a way that will bring lasting peace and harmony and fulfillment. That's what we're learning here. Kabbalah, to receive in a way that will bring us our 100%, which is ultimately bliss, total and absolute bliss. So we're constantly growing in it. And that's why we learn here, right off the bat, the first course, every difficulty is actually the Creator's light pushing on us to let go, to transform fear, anger, guilt, shame, resentment, hurt, greed, ego, etc., into a more godlike, light-like behavior. So it's again to push us forward. Challenges are not bad. They're to be embraced. The ideal is we challenge ourselves, which is why every week we affirm greater, not just love, kindness, and compassion, greater love, kindness, and compassion towards all humanity, because I have to bump it up. And remember, if we are siblings, and I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because some of us here may be having issues with a sibling. Don't have to say who you are, but think about it. If you are, then this is a time to start, just send them light, just wish them well. The same way the Creator is sending us light all the time, and we want to be unconditional to every human being. That's why it's love your neighbor as yourself. So we want to be unconditional. So even just start. You don't have to call them up if you don't want, but at least start sending them light instead of the bad feelings that you've had up to this point. Start shifting it. If you're already good with your own siblings, then start thinking of your spiritual siblings, meaning every human being. And think of somebody in the world that you have an issue with, and just start thinking, you know what? I want to be like my Father in heaven, like the Creator, and I'm starting to send light. Just light that you will become your 100%. Not light that you'll like me, you'll give me, you'll help me, you'll apologize to me. Simply light that you will be your 100%. Because that's the Creator. That's the Creator. Says in the Ten Commandments, honor your mother and your father, so you'll have long life. So what do most people do? They walk around, God, you're so wonderful. God, you're great. God, you're amazing. God, it's not that God isn't. But then what are they not doing? They're spending their time just, God, you're good, God, you're good, God, you're good. And you know you're so great, you're going to give me what I want. That's not honor your mother and your father. As I shared with somebody a while ago, if you as a physical father, imagine your children, do you want them just following you around all day saying, Dad, you're so great, Dad, you're so wonderful, Dad, you're amazing? And like some of us said, well, maybe that's not such a bad thing. But really, in the long run, no, you want them out becoming their best. Go out and become a better person. Be more sharing, be more loving, be more kind. Contribute more to bringing peace and harmony to the world. That would be the greatest honor my children could do me, is to go out and bring peace and harmony to the world. Not just to tell me how great and wonderful I am. And isn't that why some people, you know, that now that you've got all these Father's Day, Mother's Day, this day, and I remember years back you start to hear after a while, well, if my children only love me, mother or father, on Father's Day or Mother's Day, and not the other 364 days a year, then I don't care, right? Doesn't mean anything to me. So it's not about one day, okay, you're so great and wonderful, you know, and that, no, I want them to honor me, not me, but as I brought something from my parents, and I want to give to my children, that they'll give to their children, the same way the Creator gave to us all, and just wants it to spread worldwide. Love your neighbors yourself, unconditional love. But again, it doesn't always look like it's good, because sometimes even a physical father has to do things that doesn't look very nice. I had a student a few years back, had a troubled son, and he saw the son starting to go down and down and down and down and get in a little more trouble, hang out with the wrong people, get involved in things that weren't even legal. So he had a tough choice. But one day, he actually called the police on his son. Now you tell me as a parent, easy or difficult? But if you love your children enough, and I know he did with all his heart and soul, and he didn't want to see him continue down that path. So he called the police came, whatever all the things were, but what happened eventually? It was like a slap in the face for the son, meaning a wake-up call. Not to hurt him, but it like woke him up and he realized what he was doing. And it was a very short time in this case that he went back to his father and he thanked his father for what he did. And ever since that time, they've been working together in business. So it can be that way. So as I said, sometimes when it looks like things aren't going well and it's difficult, and sometimes we even wonder, where did God go? I used to think I was hanging out with God all the time. I used to think God and I were like this. And then all of a sudden it may look like it's not that way anymore. It's not because God left. It's because we moved ourselves away. And that's the key. We stopped receiving, we stopped growing, we stopped being more God-like. And therefore, it seems like there's more and more distance. My teacher, Rav Berg, used to talk about the seed of a tree. And especially you see some of these trees 300 feet tall. What's the impetus that made that 300-foot tree grow? A tiny little seed planted in the ground. And like he said, because this is a very powerful and very deep Kabbalistic concept, you put the seed in the ground. After maybe 3, 4, 5 days, a week or whatever, if you try and dig up the seed, you won't find it. The seed disappears. But what will you find? You'll find the root. Then you start to find the trunk. Then you start to see the branches. Then you see the leaves. Then you see the fruit. But the Kabbalists teach us, and the Rav would emphasize, through that whole process, even though the seed disappeared, what is it that is empowering the growth of the roots, the growth of the trunk, the growth of the branches, the growth of the leaves, and the growth of the fruit? Is that seed. So even though we may not be able to see it, doesn't mean that it's not empowering that growth. So the same way, Like there's a saying in the Bible, you shall love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your might. And the Rav would say, but how can I love something I've never seen or never hugged? For the same reason, because it's constantly empowering us. And love means unity. Love means unity. So then the same way the seed disappears, but it's still empowering, so the Kabbalists teach, whether your parents are in the physical world or not, there's an energy that they're imbuing us with. Even if they've left the physical world, they're still giving us energy because we chose them to be the channels to come into this world. And they gave us that egg and that sperm on the physical, and they drew spiritual energy together, their unity, to give us energy to achieve our potential. And yes, sometimes, again, it may not look like something we would have picked consciously. But if you look back, if you've done any spiritual transformation and you look back, you see that the lessons you learned by being in that family, with those parents, with those people, have made you a better person by learning what to do, what not to do, how to overcome, how to achieve, how to persevere, how not to take things personally, how to transcend whatever it is that may have been, to become your higher being, to become your best version of yourself. And that's what we're here to understand. If I can't see it, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The seed is there, still there empowering. The Creator is still sending its light. I don't ever want to give up on becoming my best version of myself. And the beauty, going back to the unity that the Creator wants us to achieve, I can't be the best me if I don't share all that the Creator gave me with you and everybody else. Nobody on earth can be their best version of themselves if they're not sharing and empowering everybody else. Because when we go back to the vessel of the endless world, and we come to the consciousness that starting even physically through Adam and Eve, we're all brothers and sisters. We're all united. So on a spiritual level, we're all on a spiritual interconnectedness, spiritual internet. So when I want all the blessings of the light that the Creator gave me, the only way is by sharing and making it manifest towards others. And the only way I'm going to grow in that is to share in ways and to places and to people that I haven't done before. Where it's easy and comfortable, there's no growth. Go to the gym, all right? Go to the gym, watch everybody work out, right? Pick up your pen or pencil a few times like this and walk out. Did you go to the gym? Yes. Did you work out? Yes. Is anything really going to change? No, because you didn't push yourself past your comfort zone. So our job in spiritual growth is to push past our comfort zone. And yes, that is what makes Kabbalah so powerful, but also so challenging. Because most people will tell you, you want to go the way of least resistance. Find the way that's easiest, that's the most comfortable, because if God is comfort, then we should be comfortable all the time. It's not true. It's not true. Yes, it's true, God is pure light, total bliss. But we've had free will, and since we've messed things up, we have to make correction on our mistakes. So then it comes back to us. And that's where we learn to push ourselves past our comfort zone, to share with people that we're not so in affinity with. And again, it doesn't mean you have to talk to them physically or be in contact physically, but at least in your heart you have to send out the light from your soul to all those people to activate the light in their soul. Because then that's the pure essence of love your neighbor as yourself. Most of you know who've been here for a while that we have this thing called the Zohar Project. So I just want to put in your mind, because we're going to use it also in our meditation, that we have today, because of the recent events in Orlando, we have about 50, 60 people who've gone out up to Orlando to hand out 1,500 of these pocket Zohars to businesses, fire stations, police stations, people, everything we can to bring that light of protection to the area of Orlando, but as always, through Orlando to the rest of the world. So we want to have in our heart and our soul also to empower those people who are being channels. Because if you think about again, a father brings new life into the world. So the Kabbalists say when you awaken the soul of a person to a higher level, you teach them how to make a breakthrough in their life, you've also created a new life. And that's why it doesn't matter you're male, female, you are a father or a mother or not. All of us can be father-like, especially starting today, by just spreading enough light to awaken a new aspect in our soul, in somebody else's soul. It's as if we've created new life. And that's really the essence of what fatherhood or parenthood or just being human beings is about. Spreading the light to bring peace and harmony to every human being on earth. So today is that day when we can all think of people, places, and things that we have some darkness, we have a little difficulty with, and we can be more and more God-like by sending light, by wishing everybody well, by seeing the light of the Creator in them. Because together, as we will do that, as we awaken the heart and soul of every human being to what the Creator already gave them, then together we can manifest what is truly our deepest heart and soul's desire: peace on earth, unity among humanity, oneness, and heaven on earth. God bless. Okay, I just want to read something that was sent out before we do our meditation. This was sent out by Karen Berg, and this is why another emphasis for us. Dear friends, please take a moment to pray and send energy to the victims, the families, and all those affected by the attacks in Orlando. In times like these, where there is such senseless acts of violence and hatred erupting all over the world, from Tel Aviv to Brussels to Orlando, it can be very difficult to reconcile how such darkness can exist in our world. There's a story about one Kabbalist who, when he realized there was nothing he could do to change a family's dire situation, offered all he had left to give, a heart full of love and empathy. May all of us be granted the ability to reach inside and draw from the deep well of our heart's love and empathy for those who are suffering, not only in Orlando, but all around the world. May we also keep the certainty that the light of the Creator exists from now until eternity, in spite of the darkness we are witnessing. As that Kabbalist offered his act of love to illuminate the darkness, so too it is that the only thing that will eliminate hatred for no reason in this world is our ability to practice love for no reason. I love you all. God bless you. The Kabbalah Center, Karen Berg.